Welcome again. So this is the second class out of 5 about the life of my Guru Maharaj, Swami Bhaktivedanta Tripurari. So in the first class, we were talking about his early life from when he was born, and also giving some indications about his previous life. And so then leading up to the point when he joined his first ashram in 1972. And that ashram was in Santa Cruz, California. And he was staying there for about 2 to 3 months with 3 other devotees. And they were going out on Harinam, chanting Krishna's names in the streets, and Guru Maharaj was distributing Back to Godhead magazines. And so after those 2-3 months, Prabhupada was coming to Los Angeles, which is also in California. So all the devotees in Santa Cruz, they went down to Los Angeles to meet Prabhupada, and also for Guru Maharaj to get initiated. And Prabhupada arrived in Los Angeles on the 18th of May that year, 1972. And he was flying in from Hawaii. And on the flight, Prabhupada was watching a movie called The Boyfriend. And when he was seeing that movie on the plane, he was thinking of one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita about Radha and Krishna. And so he was meditating on that verse when he came out from the airport. And that was when Guru Maharaj saw him for the first time. And he gave a speech. Prabhupada gave a speech at the airport where he quoted this verse. And it's also a verse that Guru Maharaj likes very much. And it goes, Radha Krishna Pranay Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekatmanav Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Bedam Gatoto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Dyuti Subalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Radha is the transformation of Krishna's Ladini Shakti. Although Radha and Krishna are one, from beginningless time, they have become 2 and then appeared on earth. Now, these 2 have again become one as Shri Chaitanya. Pranam to he who is Krishna himself, endowed with Radha's heart and skin color. So those were some of the first words that Guru Maharaj directly heard from Prabhupada's voice. And Guru Maharaj said that when he saw Prabhupada for the first time and they looked at each other, Guru Maharaj felt as if a very old friend had come to see him, that he had been reunited with a very old friend. And let's see. Also, Guru Maharaj was soon to become famous for his book distribution. But of course, here at this point, he was still very, very new into the movement and had been selling the Back to Godhead magazines. But it's it's interesting here that after only a few days here in Los Angeles, Prabhupada established the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, his book publishing company, during his stay there in Los Angeles. So it's interesting how Guru Maharaj came to join him right in that moment. And so instead of going back to Santa Cruz, the devotees asked Guru Maharaj to stay there in Los Angeles, since he was good at distribution. And he has explained himself that he didn't see it like he was very talented. He saw all the other devotees as being very talented, whereas he himself didn't have, for example, an education and never had a job. So he was kind of wondering what to do. So he said he saw one day that there was a note like up on the board saying that we have many printed books, but we need people to distribute them. So he was so of course he was already distributing the Back to Godhead magazines, and so he was saying, well, he was thinking that he likes to talk to others about Krishna, and so he saw it just as a simple, like he didn't see it as a big service or anything. He saw it as a very simple service to simply go out and talk to people and try to sell books to them. But it became a very big service. He was very successful, and it just kept growing, and others were learning from him how to distribute books. And there were like, after a while, there were like hundreds and thousands of books being distributed, through like his inspiration. So he got very absorbed in that, and he has said that another time that Prabhupada came to Los Angeles, then Guru Maharaj was distributing books at the airport, and it was on a Friday, which was like one of the most busy days in the airport. So he didn't want to stop the service, and he was distributing books dressed in non-devotional clothes. So when Prabhupada landed that day, he changed into devotional clothes and went to see Prabhupada for the arrival. And then when Prabhupada went to the temple with the other devotees, Guru Maharaj stayed at the airport to keep distributing books. And he felt very much ecstasy that day, that it was, he felt like he had like special blessings from Prabhupada that day. And when he was done in the evening and was going back to the temple, there were many stoplights on the way between the airport and the temple, but he said it was green every time that he was passing a stoplight. And when he came to the temple, the devotees told him that Prabhupada had asked about him, where he was, and that he was very happy to hear that he stayed at the airport to continue distributing. Guru Maharaj has also told us about these times in the years that he was in Los Angeles, that he always had his special spot where he was standing behind the Vyasasan when Prabhupada was leading Kirtan, because Guru Maharaj was thinking that he doesn't have so much insight into what the holy name means, but he felt that Prabhupada has very much insight. So he was standing behind Prabhupada and chanting into his ear, because if he could if he could chant, like just to please Prabhupada, this would have like more benefit than if he's trying to like chant by himself to Krishna. So this is a very deep insight, and Prabhupada also kind of like responded to this kind of behavior by, like, in the following mornings he was asking Guru Maharaj to like lead the kirtans when others were kind of arguing who should lead the kirtan, and Prabhupada came and said that no, let this boy sing. And then we have some interesting, there are several letters that Prabhupada wrote to Guru Maharaj in these years, especially in 1974, kind of showing that Guru Maharaj was kind of directly under Prabhupada's guidance. And but before that, there are also letters to Rameshwar, who is a godbrother of Guru Maharaj, who had like a leading position there in Los Angeles. And this Rameshwar, for example, wrote to Prabhupada to tell him that Guru Maharaj had become very successful in selling books. And then Prabhupada wrote back to Rameshwar to say that it's very nice to hear that he is selling the books, but please make sure that he always reads the books also. So that he's not just selling books without knowing what it says in them. And Guru Maharaj said, of course, he was reading the books, but he took that instruction from Prabhupada as a further blessing to study the books. And he is most likely the most well-read person in Prabhupada's books. For example, he has read Prabhupada's commentary on the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita 30 times each, and Bhagavad Gita he read 10 times. He said he was more inspired by Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita than by the Bhagavad Gita. There's also another important letter that Prabhupada sent to Rameshwar, because after a while, like when seeing Guru Maharaj's service, then Rameshwar was wanting him to take sannyas. So he wrote to Prabhupada it was his own idea, like it was not that Guru Maharaj wanted to become a sannyasi. So Rameshwar was trying to push this, so he wrote to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wrote back. So I will read this letter. You have written to recommend Tripurari for sannyas. Tripurari is, however, already a brahmachari, so in essence there is no difference between brahmachari and sannyasi. I have asked Tripurari to dedicate his life to distributing my books, and he has turned out the most expert of all our sellers. It is certainly miraculous how he is distributing so many big books, even to people who are not interested in Vedic literature. If he takes sannyas, he may not be able to constantly assume so many disguises in public and employ so many tricks for selling books to people, as it is not in accord with some of the etiquette for sannyas. Also, I have decided for the time being not to award sannyas order. You write that this recommendation is your own idea and that he himself is perfectly happy heading up a traveling party of book distributors. So let him go on as he is doing. Krishna is giving him all facility, and without question, he is doing more than any sannyasi by his personally distributing hundreds of books day after day and inspiring others to follow. So that's a very big endorsement of a guru to his disciple. So like I said, Guru Maharaj had many people learning from him how to distribute books. And also many people who were just kind of hearing about him, but not having not seen him personally, were like kind of wondering what his tricks were, and also how he was like how he was living, like not only his book distribution, but kind of everything about him, like what he was eating, how long he was sleeping, when he would get up in the morning, and all those kinds of things. So there's one other disciple of Prabhupada whose name is Rupanuga, and he was telling Guru Maharaj that you have to be careful with whatever you do, because everyone's eyes are on you and they are copying you. So whatever you do, people will follow. So you have to be very careful. And I think it's interesting that his name is Rupanuga, the one who said this, because Rupanuga means to follow Rupa Goswami, but the word Rupa also means form, and Anuga means to follow. So Rupa Anuga, to follow the form. So he's kind of talking here about how people are following the form, like trying to follow a formula for how to become a successful devotee or a successful distributor. But of course we have to remember that we have to follow the essence, and this is like the inner meaning of Rupanuga, to be an essence seeker, Saragrahi Vaishnava. So Guru Maharaj was doing his book distribution throughout the year, and then one time, like once every year, he would go to India to spend some time with Prabhupada there. And in 1975, he was in Vrindavan for the installation of Krishna Balaram, and for the grand opening of the Krishna Balaram temple, which was taking place on Ramanavami in that year. And he was very excited about this, because he knew that Prabhupada was very excited about installing Krishna Balaram. And Guru Maharaj's group of book distributors were sending all their money to the Krishna Balaram temple there before the opening. And so he was very connected with Prabhupada, both externally and internally, in that time, like with regards to the Krishna Balaram temple. And let's see, there is a famous picture of Prabhupada offering arati to Krishna Balaram on that day of the opening. And it's a funny story, but because it's that picture would not be there if Guru Maharaj would not have moved, because the photographer was behind him and was trying to take the picture, and he was in the front row among the devotees, and he was very absorbed in watching Prabhupada offer the arati. So he did not want to move at all. So he was there is like a story where both the Guru Maharaj and this photographer Vishaka is describing this. So Guru Maharaj says, When the curtains opened up, I was right in front of the Krishna Balaram altar. And I was so filled with Ananda, just thinking of the triumph of Prabhupada and all that went into it. So thinking of that, tears were pouring out of my eyes, and I just wanted to stand there and watch Prabhupada in this moment and glory, in this moment of glory, and relish it. And then Vishaka says, there was just one person between me and a clear view of Srila Prabhupada, and that was Tripurari Swami. So I was standing behind him, and I did everything I could. I did everything I could think of. I held my camera in front of him. I tapped him on the shoulder, but he was just fixated on Prabhupada offering the arati. And Guru Maharaj says, Vishaka wanted to take a picture and I was blocking the view. So she's tapping me on the shoulder, which a lady wouldn't normally do in ISKCON. And I was a sannyasi at the time on top of it, a new sannyasi. I was hearing her, but I wasn't listening. Vishaka says, he remained fixed in his position and in fact just ignored me. So I became a little bit desperate and I put my mouth next to his ear because the kirtan was very loud. And I said loudly, if you stand there, then you can see Srila Prabhupada offering the arati. But if you let me stand there, then the whole world will see Srila Prabhupada offering the arati. Then Guru Maharaj says, so she got to me and I stepped out of the way and she took the very famous picture. And this picture was also used later to have as the front cover of the book about Prabhupada that Ashram Maharaj wrote, Oh My Friend. So we jumped a little bit ahead there because we had mentioned earlier that Prabhupada was saying that Guru Maharaj does not need to be a sannyasi because he's already doing more than any sannyasi. But on that day of the installation of Krishna Balaram, Guru Maharaj received sannyas. This is a few years later, after Rameshwar had asked Prabhupada for Guru Maharaj to take sannyas. And at this point, there was several, I think it was Tamal Krishna Goswami was wanted Guru Maharaj to take sannyas. So Guru Maharaj asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada had just made a rule that that you have to wait 1 year. If you want to become a sannyasi, you have to wait for 1 year. So Prabhupada told Guru Maharaj that he has to ask permission from all the GBC members. Guru Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Goswami went around to everyone and got their blessings, and then on the day after, on the day of the installation, Guru Maharaj and also Gaur Govinda Maharaj received sannyas on the same day. So he continued his service, doing book distribution together with Tamal Krishna Goswami as a team, and so it was called the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtana, and that was going on until Prabhupada was starting to get sick in 1977 and was about to leave the world. So Guru Maharaj went there to spend some time. So he, for example, had kirtan service that he was chanting for Srila Prabhupada in his room. And he has told about one special time when he was praying very intensely because since he knew that Prabhupada was soon going to leave, he was praying that he would stay connected with Guru Maharaj was praying to stay connected with the Guru Parampara. And there was one evening there in Prabhupada's room where Tamal Krishna Goswami asked Prabhupada a few questions while Guru Maharaj was massaging Prabhupada's feet. So he asked, how will we conduct the funeral for you? And Prabhupada said that for this you can ask Srila Narayan Maharaj in Mathura. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami asked, like, is there anyone else we can go to for guidance? And then Prabhupada says that for philosophy you can go to Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj in Navadvip. So Guru Maharaj has like a very intimate relation with that instruction from Prabhupada. And although he did not himself go there until much later, until 1984. So, but when Prabhupada left the world and Guru Maharaj carried on with his book distribution service and guiding other book distributors. And he has also told about another event, and that was hearing the Chaitanya Bhagavat for the first time from his godbrother Achyutananda. And so he said that hearing the pastimes, just like hearing the sound of the Bengali verses and hearing the pastimes of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip was life-changing to him. And this we can see also still today, how he is very absorbed in Gaura Lila. So of course there were many problems in ISKCON at this time, because Prabhupada had before Prabhupada passed away, he had given over the service of initiating gurus to some of his disciples, and they were not setting a good example. They were kind of engaging in kind of luxury and like very like exaggerated, kind of demanding exaggerated worship, you can say. So many of the God brothers were starting to become disappointed, and some of the ISKCON leaders were going to Srila Sridhar Maharaj for advice, just like Prabhupada had kind of recommended them to do. But at some point, when they kind of noticed that Srila Sridhar Maharaj did not kind of approve of their excessive I can say he was not kind of approving of all of their ideas, then they kind of took offense, because he was kind of still seeing them as very beginning kind of students, while they were thinking that they were on a very high level. They became kind of envious of him, and started to kind of preach against him, and forbidding people to go and see him. So that was, of course, a very horrible time in ISKCON. And there was, at one point, a devotee gave Guru Maharaj a copy of the book Shri Guru and His Grace by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and asked him to try to point out what is wrong with the book, because this devotee couldn't find anything wrong with Srila Sridhar Maharaj's book. But since everyone is speaking bad about him, he was wondering why. So he asked Guru Maharaj to read the book and explain what is wrong with this book. And Guru Maharaj read the book, and he felt like, here is the solution to all the problems we are having in ISKCON. And there is nothing wrong at all with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he kind of felt as if as being touched in the same way as he was by Srila Prabhupada. So he knew that only someone of Prabhupada's caliber would be able to touch him in that way. So he knew within himself that Srila Sridhar Maharaj is very high and genuine. So we can continue from next time with how he then came to join Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mission. Or actually, better to say, how he continued his own he continued his own service to Prabhupada under the guidance of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, instead of being in ISKCON. And so that covers that time period, like joining ISKCON to until he had to leave ISKCON. And let's see. But I wanted to share also a meditation on Guru Maharaj's service in the early years. That is like a parallel meditation to thinking of the 9 islands of Navadvip and the 9 main limbs of devotion. Because I've been thinking about this. Was some years ago, me and another devotee were writing a Vyasa Puja offering to Guru Maharaj, where we kind of meditated on the 9 limbs of devotional service, and how Guru Maharaj was exemplifying all of them, and already in his early years. So the center island of Navadvip is called Antardvip. It means the inner island, and that is where Mayapur is, where Mahaprabhu's birth temple is, and so on. And this island of Navadvip corresponds with the Atmanivedanam. You see, the 9 limbs of devotional service is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. And like usually we hear Atmanivedanam come last, like it's the last item in the list. And it sounds very high, like it's, I mean, of course it is very high, And for example, Sakyam and Dasyam are very high limbs of devotional service, also the ones that are coming right before Atmanivedanam in the list. And which also kind of indicates that Atmanivedanam would be a very high limb of devotional service that not everyone is able to engage in. But Srila Shri Maharaj, he kind of turns it around. He says Atmanivedanam has to be first, because you can only really practice the other limbs on the basis of Atmanivedanam. You first have to offer yourself, then you can engage in kirtan, smaranam, deity worship, and so on. So, the first island is Antardvip, related with self-surrender, Atmanivedanam. And this Guru Maharaj exemplified already when he met Prabhupada for the first time there in the airport in Los Angeles, because he said that he just had the feeling within himself when he saw Prabhupada and looked him in the eyes that first time, that he just thought, I will never leave. Like I will never leave Prabhupada, even if everyone else here will leave him, I will never leave him. So that shows some real taste, because taste is explained in the 4th verse of Shikshashtakam as Nadhanam Nadjanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vava Jagarisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaitu Kitvai. That's like the first thing is Nadhanam, and then Nadjanam. So Nadjanam is like, I'm not looking for followers. It can also mean like, I'm not looking just to be around people who agree with me. It's like your soul is like touched by this taste for serving Krishna, so you're not depending on any like mundane support. So this is kind of where Atmanivedanam is in place, like the stage is kind of set for your kind of real devotional life to play out. So then the next island is Simantadvip, and it's related to the practice of Shravanam, of hearing. So of course, hearing about Krishna. And Guru Maharaj was exemplifying the service that he was listening to. If he listened to a recorded lecture of Prabhupada, he would memorize the whole lecture. So one morning he would like listen to the class, memorize the whole lecture, and then when he was in the car on the way out for book distribution with some devotee next to him, he would retell that devotee the whole lecture. And of course, if this kind of course, someone could be super good at memorizing things, but not really understanding the meaning. But if we keep in mind now that this is based, first of all, on this principle of Atmanivedanam, self-surrender. So so he's kind of, he's hearing on that platform. And then the next island is Godrumadvip, which is related to Kirtan. And of course, this is very easy. This is the book distribution part is like preaching, because speaking about Krishna is also kirtan. It's like both the preaching during book distribution and also this kind of mood he had in chanting directly in Prabhupada's ear in the kirtan, and pleasing Prabhupada in that way, so that Prabhupada asked him to lead the kirtan. So you can see his there is some, he's practicing these limbs of devotion in a very deep way. Then next island is Madhyadvip Smaranam. And Smaranam, then we often thinking of Krishna's Leelas, and Guru Maharaj was, of course, thinking of Krishna's Leelas, but it's more beneficial for us to hear about Smaranam of Krishna's names, because if we can get absorbed in remembering Krishna's names, then we will automatically be able to meditate on Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, and Krishna's pastimes also. And Guru Maharaj was doing Nama Smaranam already before he had met devotees, because he, as we told in the previous lecture, he had found this package of incense, and that was I think it was called spiritual sky, this incense, and they had printed the Maha Mantra on the back. So Guru Maharaj learned the Maha Mantra, but he was not chanting it out loud, he was meditating on it. He was remembering Krishna's names mentally, and this is called Nama Smaranam. And then next island is Koladvip, and this is also the island in Navadvip where Srila Sridhar Maharaj has his ashram. And this island corresponds with Pada Sevanam, and Pada Sevanam can also have many meanings. It means to, literally, it means to serve the feet, like to serve Krishna's feet. And it can also mean like going on pilgrimage, because then you do seva with your feet, like you are walking as a service to Krishna. But it can also mean simple services, like we hear sometimes menial services. It's like these simple services that anyone can do. And this we also see that Guru Maharaj was absorbed in, because as we said, he was not like, he was doing the book distribution. From his perspective, he was doing it as a menial service, as a simple service that he got very absorbed in. And next island is Ritudvip, which corresponds with Archana, so with deity worship. And Guru Maharaj was very attracted to deity worship, but he was saying that when he was traveling around to different cities doing book distribution, then whatever city he would come to, there was always a long waiting list for participating in the deity worship in the temples, because everyone wanted to serve the deities. So it was not possible for him to get a spot there. So he asked Prabhupada about this, because he wanted to do deity worship. So Prabhupada blessed him that he could have his own Gauranitai deities with him when he was traveling in a bag, and just to take them out and worship them in the morning, and then put them back in the bag, and then go out and do service in the daytime. So he did that. And that was very rare in those times, because usually there were only deities in the temples. So usually, like individual devotees did not have their own deities usually. There's only a few examples of Prabhupada allowing individual devotees to have deities. For example, Yamuna Devi and Guru Kripa Swami. So there were a few exceptions, and Guru Maharaj was one of those. So then next island is Janudvip, and that is connected to Vandana, which is offering prayers. And Guru Maharaj had like personal prayers that he was offering. And of course, he was also getting absorbed in the kind of prescribed prayers that everyone was praying, like the Shikshashtakam. For example, Guru Maharaj wrote an article in Back to Godhead in 1975 that is based on the Shikshashtakam. It's very nice. It's he also talks about how about his view of people that he's preaching to. But Guru Maharaj also had his personal prayers. For example, he had one prayer that he said, "Please let me be sincere about being sincere." And he has said later on that when he wrote the morning song for his Audarya ashram, that he put that prayer into one of the verses so that his disciples could sing it every day, and also kind of imbibe that kind of mood in their prayer. It's the last verse of the Audarya morning song. Then there is Moda Drumadvip, which is Dasya, and of course here Guru Maharaj was seeing himself as a servant of Prabhupada's mission. Prabhupada also very much kind of confirmed that he really was. In one letter to Guru Maharaj, he wrote that Guru Maharaj is one of the pillars of ISKCON. So that means very dedicated, very committed, committed in a way that he's also getting others to commit naturally. And then the last island is Rudradvip, which is connected with Sakyam. So friendship, but here it's not Sakya Rasa, but friendship as a devotional practice. And this comes naturally when you get absorbed in dasya, in being a servant. Then you will attract the kind of trust of your teachers and of Krishna, so that they will start sharing their secrets with you, as Prabhupada was saying about Guru Maharaj, that because Guru Maharaj is sincere and want to serve, then Krishna will inspire him from within, which is a more like friendly level, like kind of Krishna and Prabhupada like sharing personal secrets. I should also just mention here, because it pops up in my head here at the end that I forgot to mention this, that Prabhupada gave Guru Maharaj the name Tripurari, which is the name of Shiva, in a pastime where Shiva is empowered by Krishna to kill the demon called Tripurasura. And Prabhupada told Guru Maharaj that your name is Tripurari, so you should kill the demons by preaching. So this means both preaching to devotees and preaching to new people. So those were my thoughts for today. If anyone has anything they want to share, you're very welcome. You need to choose the English language if you want to say something. Okay. Thank you all very much for joining and giving me the chance to speak about these things. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.